following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
I think that for many years, mental health really wasn't a thing. It wasn't really talked about. It was just like shoved under the rug. Like, you know, just tell somebody you're crazy. And even, amongst, black people, it was always shoved under the rug where it's like, oh, I'm going through this or this, like, oh bro, you crazy, just smoke, man, just take a drink, or just pray about it, just go to church.
Right.
And I wasn't really personally comfortable saying that I saw a therapist up until like a couple of years ago. So I think I'm really glad now that these topics are able to be open and on the table, um and whatnot. But even still, like, coming from certain neighborhoods or certain income levels, because when people don't have access to the good health care and don't have access to all these mental health support systems, I think that, when there is no option, like, it's crazy. That's why you see all these homeless people on the street.
I think that's really interesting that you mentioned this because it is only because I have access to bougie mental health care that I think the dual concert that Drake and Kanye did, portion of that concert, I think, is something called neurofeedback, which is a mental health therapy where they connect neurons to your brain. And as a part of that, you write this music with your brain. Now, when you first hear them say that, you think it's going to be cool music, but once you hear it, it's not. It's like all these
Yeah, like
different weird
synthesizer
tonalities.
waves.
Yes, and it's exactly what the Kanye and Drake concert sounded like.
Hmm.
And I have a theory. I can't talk to Kanye and ask him, but I would love to be like, hey, did you get part of those beats from neurofeedback? Are you doing neurofeedback as a part of your mental health regimen? Because it's something that I've had access to, and it would the sessions are like $300 a piece. I got access to it through a grant that they had. But I was like, I wonder if because he's so bougie and has access to bougie mental health care. So it's funny to me that you brought that up because I have deep theories about
Well,
that.
let me stop you right there, Kylie, about Kanye's access to mental health care. You know what? I feel like his obviously he deals with a lot of mental illness, and rightfully so, as one of the biggest celebrities in the world, whose ex-wife was an even bigger celebrity. But I sometimes I feel like I can't sympathize with Kanye because it's like, dog, you have access to all the best psychiatrists, psychologists, all that shit. You have access to the best of the best as far as healthcare, and you're not using it. Like DL Hughley said, like, oh, all these voices in your head, and not one of them is telling you to stop at CVS and pick up your meds. So, and
Yeah.
now let me get your opinion on this, girl. Now he has this clothing collaboration with the Gap, and I want to get into your clothing stuff too soon. But like, he has this clothing collaboration with the Gap, and he caught flack for having these construction bins filled with all these hoodies that people could just grab and pay for, and people were saying he was mocking the homeless. And he said, oh, I'm an artist, I can't be censored, blah blah blah. But like, I've never really been a big fan of Kanye's fashion uh lines in the first place, except for the Yeezys. But I yeah, I just think that his overall message is getting lost in the sauce, and the music is kind of fading away when he's just becoming this overly prolific figure. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So the the unfortunate part is the mania fuels the art.
Right.
And you have to experience it kind of to know like real deeply what I'm talking about. But
I have.
Kanye made a choice. He made a choice. He's Kanye being Kanye, the Jesus Kanye. He wanted that over wanting his family, and the rest of anything else that he does is an act. Because he could have easily taken his medication, he could have easily utilized the best of that care.
Yeah.
As far as what he does with Yeezy, I'm deeply intrigued by that because the shit's ugly. Been ugly since it came out. But now not we all, but a large amount of people are wearing it. Um, his his collaboration with gap was through a contract with Balenciaga, which they have already ceased. That's over with already. They didn't say why, but like immediately after they dropped the clothes, they announced that they were no longer continuing relationship with him. And I think that's got to do with his erratic behavior. But he seems to go along just fine, no matter who's working with him. And then like I don't know, like the bins thing, I shop at the Goodwill bins, and a lot of people had said like making the reference with that, but like that's kind of been the vibe of Yeezy since it started. Like when he very first dropped it, it was like holes with clothes in it. We kept calling it
Yeah.
homeless people stuff.
Yeah, the
And now
fringe sweaters and whatnot.
right. And now you can hardly go to the store and buy clothes that aren't distressed. Or even, for example, my son bought me a brand new pair of Levi's last night and was like, hey, could you put holes in these for him? And I had to get my Dremel out and like grind the holes with them, wear them down for him. So that has influenced culture in such a deep way that I just can only think of him with awe, because it's like I don't know what it is that he has that influences the masses to do this ugly shit, but he sure does it.
Yeah, I think you touched on something interesting, that like the clothes are ugly, but people are still buying it just simply because it has the name Kanye West on them, and like
Yeah,
that in itself is prolific.
yeah. And they'll buy anything that he releases. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like those shoes, but that mask thing is that the Yeezy mask that he has, that's the foam runners, but for your face, it's kind of dope.
Yeah, I mean, he is still a human being, but at the end of the day, I just think his celebrity and his ideas and his visions just kind of make him one of the most like still add to how he's one of the not only the one of the most groundbreaking artists of all time, but just one of the most unique and profound individuals of this time.
Yeah, he's kind of like, which she's not crazy, but him and Cardi B are very similar to me in their like celebrity persona, in that it's not necessarily the music is great, but that's not necessarily what I'm there for. I'm there for them as like a full scale entertainer and artist, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Um,
I'll to the opposite of what you just said, Kylie, like I'll rock with the music all day because I miss the old Kanye. But yeah, just sometimes with all the shit he's just popping off and the running for president and all the, I'm like, motherfucker, take care of your kids. But you hit the nail
right.
on the head with that. You said he'd rather be Yeezus than, dad to these children.
Yeah, he made that choice a long time ago because
It's
it's
sad.
it's simple, but it's like there's like this celebrity persona inside of you that you sacrifice when you do make the choice to medicate yourself, and I don't think he's ready to let that go. Well, I mean, I know he's not.
No.